That's the FCS Checkdown. Nathan McCurry, Coach Ron Jackson, and very special guest Zach McKinnell joining us here for a Week 0 preview. And this is what we've been waiting for. Fired up for Week 0 FCS football. First of all, let's say hello to our guest, Zach McKinnell. Man, what a job you have done of covering the FCS with the Blue Bloods. And having you, I think me and Brandon came on as guests, and we had the AQ7 podcast. And man, I'm so happy for you. Now writing with Sports Illustrated, covering FCS football, the FCS Central there. You've got your podcast. You're joining other podcasts. Just, man, how the heck are you? And talk about the growth of the FCS in your atmosphere and how it's been.
Man, I appreciate you guys inviting me, man. Actually, a big fan of the show. Listen to y'all each week when I get a chance, man. I'm tired already, man. It's Week 0, and I already feel like I'm exhausted. So I can't wait for the season. But man, me and you kind of talked about it in the pre-show. The growth of the FCS, just in terms of the fan support, how much opportunity there is to really cover this subdivision at a high level, man, is really endless, man. I think me and you kind of talked. There's a lot of people doing a good job, and I don't think any of us have hit the ceiling yet.
Right.
And I think there's still a lot of room to grow, man. And I think you guys, Coach Jackson, what you guys have going on, man, it really and truly, you guys are a big part of that as well.
Well, Brandon Joseph is also a big part of our show, and he does great analysis. Can't be here. He's a young family. He's also calling high school football here for Georgia, so I know what he's doing. He's got his nose deep into some spotting boards and some stats, and he's preparing, so we miss him for this Week 0 preview. But, Pod's got a pod, so we're going to move forward. And Coach Jackson, how the heck are you? We missed you last week. How was your birthday?
You know what? I can't complain. I had a fantastic birthday. I'll be
Great.
celebrating it from, till about this time next year. Kids didn't really get me nothing. Wife didn't really get me nothing, but I don't really need nothing. We, got to spend a lot of good time with each other, and I bought myself a Ninja slushy machine.
Hey, all right. Well, when I get up there to Tennessee, I'm expecting a nice slushy.
Come on, I got plenty of them.
Hey, listen, all right, let's go ahead and get into some FCS news before we jump into the Week 0 stuff. And, Zach, I'll start with you. Breaking news about the SEC going to a full conference schedule now. They're basically going to eliminate some of those cupcake-type games for strength of schedule reasons. You got to expect the Big Ten's going to follow. Maybe some of these other conferences are going to follow. How do you think that move is going to affect the FCS from the financial aspect? Because a lot of these teams rely on that big money for those money-type games.
Yeah, I mean, so let me give you like the kind of the glass half full look first, right? What it probably does is it probably opens up more opportunities for some of these FCS schools to play those G5 games, which are much more winnable, and you have a little bit of a less chance of injury. You'll see a team like Eastern Kentucky now, instead of going to play Kentucky every year, they'll get that Bowling Green game more often. Remember, they knocked them off, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
You'll see more of those type of games rather than going to play these top SEC schools, which you guys know is really not good for the overall health of your team, especially like when you have a team like Mercer, guys, who they played Alabama last week of the season right before the playoffs. I mean, Come on, man. And then I think of even like Prairie View A&M. I think it was like 2022, right before the SWAC championship. They had to go play Texas A&M. They lose their starting quarterback. They lose multiple starters on like the offensive and defensive line. And then, guys, the next week they have to go play the SWAC championship.
Yeah.
How much did that impact that SWAC? I don't know if they beat that team with Dion, but like it'd help if you were fully healthy. So I think that's the good part. The bad part is the payouts are probably going to be a little bit less. But at the end of the day, man, like it's all about fundraising and trying to find the best way to support your program. And you have to be more creative now. And it forces FCS programs to be a bit more creative with how they're fundraising, how they're raising money, and how they're funding their athletic departments. But I think at the end of the day, I'm okay with it because I would rather see a competitive G5 FCS game than I would a 57-58 nothing beatdown of Alabama over Mercer personally.
Yeah, and Coach Jackson, I think you probably are seeing the FCS and the mid majors getting closer together, while the mid majors and the Power Four are even getting further apart. Money-wise, talent-wise, the transfer portal is killing college football right now. But just your thoughts on that. And FCS did go to a 12-game schedule as proof, so then maybe that will give some opportunities for some of those additional FBS not Power 5, but mid-major type games from that group of 5 or whatever that's going to become in the future.
Yeah, I think it will. I'm kind of like Zach. There's a little more. I don't want to say parity, but it's a little closer between the FCS and some of the G5 schools. So you may see a little more interest because some of the guys are transferring from those schools and going to another school, and then the coach may even give them an opportunity to play against the old school. I think it does fire up the FCS fans, which kind of brings me to one of the questions that I wanted to ask Zach is literally, Zach, what do you think that the transfer portal has done for the FCS fan? To me, it's added some umph to the FCS. People on the FCS teams, they're wondering all these transfers that are coming in. It seems like it's added a little fire and a little excitement to the FCS. And I just wanted to see what your thoughts were.
I think again it's one of those, like, I guess how you look at it, because on one hand we have lost a good bit of talent that would have been stars at this level and are now playing at some other school. And so I think it's going to be very, very hard to have the Cole Kellys, the Eric Berriers of the world, because man, what would Cam Ward have done if he would have played out his career in Incarnate Word? Do you guys know the stats he would have put up and where he would have ranked all time? It would have been ignorant. But at the same time, I agree with you, Coach, where I do think what it allows FCS teams to do, and I think it allows all college football teams to do, is rebuild their roster faster and or address their needs in a different way. And also, too, it's opened up different lanes in recruiting. I think the biggest thing that's lost here, because I'm a big high school recruiting fan, and I love just paying attention to recruiting and scouting and seeing where guys are ranked. I think there's a ton of opportunity for some of these lower 4 stars, high 3 stars that have been overlooked by the P4 as they go shift more to the transfer portal for these guys to end up in FCS. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing is FCS fans really in the past, recruiting has not mattered. And I agree in the FCS, but I think you're seeing better and better high school talent coming to the FCS level because they're being overlooked. I think fans from the FCS have to make that adjustment in their mind that we should start paying more attention to recruiting, coach, because there's some really, really good high school freshmen that are coming in just because. Coach, I mean, you've seen this. You can see these kids with P4 offers. One, were those committable offers? Two, did they miss their opportunity for that to be a committable offer? Because they could have set on it, and then Tennessee goes and signs 2 running backs. And guess what, Coach? Tennessee's moving off that kid. Who's a high 3 star. Now could he end up at UT Martin? Because he missed his opportunity to go to Tennessee, or there was another high riser kid who had a big senior year, right, and jumped him. I think that's kind of changed the FCS landscape. I think fans have to tune their mind to pay more attention to that.
And Zach, one thing I think that is problematic is the coaches that continue to jump have one good year at a FCS school, or maybe even 2, and then they bounce, and then they're taking their players with them. Jason Eck is a perfect example. Very, very well loved coach there, did a great job. He's gone, players go, and then that whole recruiting thing. I don't know if it breaks down because I'm honestly a novice of understanding how these recruiting things happen. I know there's a lot of work that goes into each recruit and in candidate. How do you think that happens to affect the recruiting, the high school recruiting, when you have so much movement from the coaching staff?
I think one, you're going to lose those elite guys. Like you look at Idaho, they lost a handful of guys who were freshman All American caliber that went with him, and maybe some of his favorite freshmen. Like you look at even Jimmy Rogers from South Dakota State, right? He took some of those young players that were supposed to be really good this year, and he took them to Washington State with them. But at the same time, Nathan, not everybody can go because there's going to be turnover on the current roster. So, which players at this new school are you keeping? Which means you don't have room to bring everybody. And so, I do think there's still kind of like a leftover effect where you could have some good talent if you can convince them to stay. And I think that's why you see more schools hire guys who were involved in building the roster. You look, You look at what Idaho did. They brought in their former recruiting coordinator that recruited a ton of those guys. And he was on the staff. He went to the playoffs with Eck, under Eck. He was only gone for a year at Oregon State. And so bringing someone like that back who has ties to the program is huge. And I think you've seen some people do that, even with Dan Jackson at South Dakota State. Maybe he wasn't there last year or whatever, but he has ties to South Dakota State. He knows what the culture is. He's been there, played there. And to me, I think that's why you saw so many guys like a Chase Mason and some of those other guys that they are bringing back, even on the offensive line. That's why they came back, and that changes the way FCS programs have to hire coaches, Nathan, when they unexpectedly lose a young and upcoming coach.
Yeah, it's certainly challenging, and listen, it's been an ever-changing landscape for the college football as a whole. You're starting to hear these coaches come out and go, NIL's killing us, transfer portal's killing us. We're seeing all the talent chase the money. We're seeing schools chase the money, and I think all of us will be very, very happy when you start to see this thing settle a little bit. We thought maybe in April when you had the Knights Commission and all these rules come out, and maybe it's solidified a little bit, but I do think there's positives coming out for the FCS. I think you're probably going to see the divide between that SEC and Big Ten type ACC schools, Power Four. They're going to branch off, and then you're going to have some of those FCS schools that may have just jumped basically back into some kind of division that the FCS that will be the Division 1 AA or FCS or whatever, because it's not sustainable the other way. You're not playing for national championships. There's no opportunity. Just your final thoughts, Zach, on the landscape, maybe the next couple years, and what you think it may look like.
Yeah, I think there's two different directions. You mentioned that direction, which is more of like 3 subdivisions in Division 1. I think the other option is you still have 2, and you really have a large realignment shift where you have that top division, and we know that there's going to be some top G5 schools. You look at the Tulanes, the App States, the Coastal Carolinas. Nathan, they don't care if they don't have a realistic shot at winning a natty. They have the money to play with the big dogs, and they're going to go play with the big dogs and just bet on themselves, and that's fine. What that does is you have the middle to lower part of the G5 combined with the top and middle end of the FCS, and then everybody else, you either got a fund or you're going D2.
Yeah.
That's the other option. Or you go non-scholarly like the Pioneer and you just kind of in. But I really do think there needs to be a thing, and no offense, like we need to get rid of the Dayton rule. And if you aren't offering football scholarships, you can't play on this level. You got to go because you're just wasting space at this point. And no offense to any of those Pioneer League programs. And I think the Ivies are in their own special case. But I'm cool with them staying because at least they're competitive and they have the money. They put in resources into their football program. It's just the academic side is kind of making things iffy. But I would personally lean, Nathan. The reason I don't know about the 3 subdivisions is because the SEC Big Ten fought so hard to get the control of the NCAA. What they have like 70% of the voting power now or something crazy. Why would you fight for that if you were just going to leave? Like, so that makes me feel like they're going to stay. And for me personally, I think their goal would be more to force some of these teams they don't feel like are P4 or FBS down back to FCS. And so what does that say for the Kennesaw States and the Sam Houstons and the Jacksonville States that jumped up to try to force their way into the room? What if they get kicked right back down? How does that impact their program? Because I don't know how you guys feel. There's a lot more programs at the FBS level that are like Idaho and belong in the FCS than there are FCS programs that belong at that level.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize most of these teams still operate in the red. They have to have those big money games if they're going to have a football program. And I can talk specifically about Kennesaw State. They operate in the red with all of their other athletics for football. Everything goes to football. If Kennesaw State dropped their football program today, you would see their basketball program, their baseball program, their volleyball program all elevate because their funding would go up. Right now, it's not happening, and it's tough for them because they're still trying to get into the Atlanta market, and they're not getting into the Atlanta market. Just because you're close doesn't mean people are interested, and that's a challenge, and that's a kind of an anomaly because a lot of these FCS schools are in Jacksonville State, Alabama. Ain't nothing there. There's one huddle house. That's it. So this funding, is important. All right, listen, it's ever changing. Coach, you have a word on this one before we jump into week 0?
I'm not going to let you slander Jacksonville State's barbecue. I know that. I mean, there might not be a huddle house, but they got pretty good food there.
Hey, I'll tell you, me and Brandon were there for the playoff game with Kennesaw State for the broadcast crew, and the fans were fantastic to the visiting staff that came, the faculty that came, and the barbecue was lit. It was fantastic. And I shout out to Tennessee Tech as well. Their barbecue is fantastic. All right, now you got me hungry. Coach, god dang, 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, here we go. All right, listen. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the week 0 games. And we're going to start probably the most uninteresting game of the afternoon for tomorrow is this Idaho State versus UNLV. The Bengals, of course, Big Sky Conference, they head to Las Vegas to take on UNLV. It's a non-conference showdown and a FBS FCS matchup. Dan Mullen is a new head coach there at UNLV, looking to be a more contender there in the Mountain West. Lots of change, while Idaho State looking to build some momentum in the FCS ranks. You know, they've got Cody Hawkins there. He's done some good things. They've got a ton of returners, but just 3-8 last year, 5-7 under Cody Hawkins overall. Finished 6th there in the Big Sky. The defense was terrible. The Bengals, another subpar team that picked up quality wins versus Sacramento State, allowing 77 points to Eastern Washington. That was one that was really hard to watch. But this game, it's an FCS, FBS, FCS matchup, and it's going to be nationally televised. Bring you guys back in here. Coach Jackson, I'll start with you. Idaho State, UNLV. Just some thoughts on the game. I'm not interested in this football matchup, but it is an FCS game. It's week 0, so we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm not really interested in it either. It's kind of a misnomer game for me. What I hope doesn't happen is it gets completely out of hand. Dan Mullen is not going to call the dogs off anytime soon. And
Right.
UNLV is kind of in the spot that they're trying to build their program back up. They're probably another program that is, despite being in the area that they are, they just struggle football wise, and they have for years. I guess ever since Randall Cunningham was playing there. So I look for it to be a kind of a lopsided game, and I look forward to the next one.
Zach, Idaho State's going to have a new look offense. Gone is Logan George to Ohio State. I'm going to watch that guy's career. He's a stud. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I'm not really too excited. I mean, this is a team that put up 72 on Utah Tech last year, and they won 11 games. So,
Yeah.
this isn't like a rebuild for Dan Mullen. They got some serious talent. Now, Brendan Marion's gone. What does the offense look like? But we know Dan Mullen has typically always had really good offenses. And like Coach said, they've really been funding this program well. They're one of these programs that if there was ever a divide, they would try to push their way into the P4 conversation.
Mhm.
And so I think this one gets out of hand quickly. Like you said, Idaho State's defense has really, really struggled over the past few years. Now, could they put up some points? Possibly. They got Jordan Cook returning at quarterback, got some weapons at running back. But guys, I just don't think they're going to have enough defensively to make this thing competitive.
Yeah, this is going to kind of be a stinker, I think, for the FCS, but it's college football. It's college football. All right, up next, something that's I think one of the best games of the weekend. It's a conference matchup. Incarnate Word in Nicholls in Louisiana, 1 p.m., ESPN2 Southland Conference matchup. This is a huge matchup, a heavyweight showdown in the Southern Conference to kick off early season. Both programs perennial contenders for the league crown. This matchup could carry significant playoff implications there in the conference. UIW enters the 2025 defending Southland champion, boasting an explosive passing offense. Nicholls counters with a disciplined physical style of play. Home field advantage will be at Thibodeau Field. A tough place to play for opponents. Kurt Killow bringing the UIW Cardinals to the Nicholls State. And listen, I think this is going to be one of those matchups where it could be a surprise. I mean, I really think that Incarnate Word is a favorite for the Southland, but you never know. New season, first game. This is a tough matchup. Zach, I'm going to let you start here. Nicholls didn't have a great season last year. They got a long-term veteran head coach. Leaned on their defense, but they got to do some things offensively. This is going to be a tough matchup, I think, for them to come up against Incarnate Word, but they're replacing a lot of pieces as well.
Yeah, imagine being Tommy Rybacky and this being your debut as a head coach. You
Yeah.
get number 5, Incarnate Word coming to town. I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup. Like you said, first time head coach, and but the thing is, man, it's going to be really hot in Thibodeau. I don't know if y'all have been down there, but it is the swamp. Actually, the
Yeah.
swamp. It is disgustingly hot down there. So, how does the weather play? Because this thing kicks off at noon. It's gonna be like 150 degrees, but I think the difference here is the question is how does Nicholls' defense match up against this new Incarnate Word offense? You have Torres stepping into quarterback, but you also have Jalen Walthall and Cheaton James and all these weapons. Jalen Spears coming in at running back. The Nicholls defense is going to have to find a way to hold this Incarnate Word offense to under 30 points, in my opinion. And I just don't know if I see that happening. And where the matchup falls apart for me, guys, is I don't think Nicholls' offense is going to be very good next year. New starting quarterback, more of a journeyman there.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't really seen any action at New Mexico State, his JUCO stops or anything like that. So
And
I
Deuce
just don't know if
Hogan,
they
I
have
think,
to.
is who you're talking about there.
Yeah, Deuce Hogan. And so Michael Brock is really good at running back. They got some experience come back at wide receiver, but none of those guys are guys that can take the top off or really have a ton of production. And they're replacing some pieces on the offensive line. I think Incarnate Word really revamped their defense. I'm excited to see what it looks like. Tyler Morton coming in, David Powers from Wofford. I think personally, Incarnate Word. I'm a believer in Incarnate Word. I believe I had them the highest out of all the stats per form voters. I had them at 3.
Nice.
And so I think this one is a double digit win here for Incarnate Word, and this is their opportunity to really show that they are the national contender that a lot of people in the media think they are.
Coach Jackson, you had Jalen Walthall, as Zach mentioned. They also bring in Dayon Batiste from Wyoming. They have transfers Cheaton James, Fresno State. Zach Mitchell also comes in, add depth. They've got a lot of room for, and they have Jalen Spears, came from Nicholls. He's going to be in the backfield in that running back room as well. Defensively, Dune Smith returns 80 tackles last year, 11.5 tackles for loss. He led the team. Declan Williams also is going to anchor that front. Edge rusher Michael Please comes in, and Joe Cadet also adds depth to their defense, while their secondary returns explosive cornerback Tyler Morton. Your thoughts here, Incarnate Word versus Nicholls?
Listen, I'm not going to disagree with our guest, Mr. McKinnell. He's one of the best in the business as far as evaluating teams and talent and stuff like that. And he's right on point. Incarnate Word is loaded. Now, I think it's going to take a little time to get all that talent on the same page. So, maybe Nicholls hangs around for a quarter or two or anything. I think it's going to get ugly in this particular ball game. But I will say this. In my heart, I hope that Nicholls plays a fantastic game against them, because I do believe the FCS is better when Nicholls State has a good football team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want good competition. I think I had the prediction just written down like 30-3. I would go for this one, but you never know. It is week 0, and those new pieces have to gel for both these squads. All right, up next, we're going to go to Portland, Oregon, as Tarleton State. Lots of chatter about this team. Stepping stone into the FBS possibly, but are they looking at the landscape? Maybe they're going to stay in the FCS. Well, their first game here in 2025 is against Portland State, 4:30. It's a nationally televised game, ESPN+. Tarleton, the Texans, they're heading up there north. It's probably still pretty hot up there. So, no home field advantage, particularly as far as weather. They have to solidify their place in this Division I football. They're a new FCS squad. And 10-3 last year. They lost to number 2 South Dakota in the second round of the playoffs. They're emerging as a national contender. And they got Victor Gabalis, their quarterback, coming back. 2,800 plus yards, 23 touchdowns. Loaded roster for Tarleton State. Portland State, 4-7. 2-6 in the Big Sky. Bruce Barnum in his 11th season has a new quarterback under center, and his name is
John Keave, Sangapolutele, Ever Beach, Hawaii.
I love those rosters that have the little ear next to them, because then you can figure out what these people's names are and how to pronounce them. This is another, I think, going to be a lopsided kind of competition. Got a lot of changes there in Portland State. Coach Jackson, I'll let you start here. Man, you got to love what Tarleton State's doing. Lots of money, big stadium, big ambitions. They got a big roster as well. Your thoughts here?
Lots of touchdowns, lots of scoring, lots of sacks, lots of line dancing. I believe Tarleton State will take care of their business when they go to Oregon to play Portland State. I hope Portland State puts up a little bit of a fight, but I do believe there's a big disparity as far as their roster talent.
Yeah, and running backs is a kind of a highlight there for Portland State. DeLon Thompson and Jalen Armstead in the backfield. Defense, they allowed 40.1 points per game last year, Zach. How do you bridge that gap for a Portland State team that's trying to build under a veteran coaching staff with a bunch of new pieces?
Yeah, this is a interesting year for Coach Barnum. Now, to do hot seat in the FCS is really tough because we don't know the finances of these schools. But this is a guy who has not had a winning record since 2015. It's been a long time since Portland State's been good, and defensively, like you said, they've just been so bad. And when you look at what Tarleton brings back with Gabalis, Cody Jackson stepping into a starting role, and I'll say this: the talk I've heard about Cody Jackson is that he could be just as good as Darius Cooper. Like that's the word on the street, and if
All
that's the
right.
case, guys, my God, and I'll tell you all this, but I'm a big Tarleton fan. Remember the name Tyre Young, who's stepping in. He's actually going to be the replacement for Darius Cooper. He comes from Lock Haven at the Division II level, was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, 6'2", 6'3", can run on the outside, going to be a matchup nightmare. And then on the defensive side, man, they returned 18 players that played over 200 snaps last year, along with adding a ton of transfers. I mean, this team has the depth to really make a run. And I'm going to give y'all another nugget here for y'all's show, man. Yasir Holmes from Frostburg State, almost 20 tackles for loss last year. He's going to be starting at outside linebacker, edge rusher for them. Watch out, because they also returned Josh Griffith, who spent the year at Oregon State last year, was an all-conference guy for them 2 years ago. This defensive line is going to be really good. Brandon Tolvert's obviously back at defensive tackle. Guys, I think Tarleton needs a blowout here. I don't know what Portland State's the problem is. You look at what Dante Sacheret did for them last year at quarterback. Man, he made so many plays for them, guys, and bailed that offense, and it still wasn't enough to win a lot of games. And you mentioned the quarterback. I've also heard Gabe Downing might get some snaps there at quarterback, who's a sophomore there. Has been a kind of that they've recruited him as a freshman. I believe he played 1 or 2 games last year. So I think they got too many question marks offensively. Give me Tarleton State big in this one.
Yeah, I agree. And hot seat, getting hotter there in Portland, Oregon. All right. We're going to go to the SWAC MEAC kickoff. That's going to be a ABC game, 7:30. North Carolina Central versus Southern. The Jaguars, man, I love that logo, that jersey, those colors. They're beautiful. But North Carolina Central Eagles are a very good football team. This is going to be a matchup of, a team that's top SWAC, top MEAC. This is going to be a fantastic, one of the best kickoff games I think we've seen in a long time. And since we're joining the MEAC in 2010, the Eagles are 4-3 against teams from the SWAC. Head coach Trey Oliver's 4-1 against teams from the SWAC himself. Following last year's win over Alabama State in the Orange Blossom Classic, the Eagles face 2 SWAC schools this season, Southern here on Saturday and FAMU later in the year. They have a remarkable level of experience returning along that front. They have a great quarterback in Walker Harris, tight end Luke Bracey. The Eagles also return starters, all 5 offensive line position, including all MEAC honoree Noah McKinney and Trayvon Humphreys. Where Southern Jaguars, they are picked to finish first in the West again. They've got a big-time preseason defensive player of the year in Kelby Givens. So there's a lot of pieces for Southern to be excited about. Coach Jackson, I really do believe this is one of the best games of the weekend. It's a nationally televised game, ABC. North Carolina Central's had some great success over the last couple years. Southern has climbed the ranks there in the SWAC. What you got?
Man, I cannot wait for this one. It's one of my top games to watch. I like North Carolina Central, uh, but I like the Southern Eagles a little bit better. I think Southern's going to win on the field. I think Southern's going to win with their band. I believe Southern's going to win with their. Dude, there's going to be a whole lot of folks to travel up to Atlanta from that particular area. So give me the Southern Eagles and give me Southern at halftime too.
Zach, this is offense, defense, second-year head coach there for Southern. Terrence Graves has that team playing really well. Defense wins championships. Who you got here?
I like Central here. Probably like I think my score prediction was like 31-20. Um, like you said, Walker Harris coming back another year in the system, man. I'm really, really confident in him. It's a good matchup because Southern secondary is pretty experienced.
Mm-hmm.
The one concern I have is you have Kilby Gibbons, who, listen, man, he's going to get his plays. There's going to be 5, 6 plays that he just is just better than whoever's across from him. But I do worry about the depth of defensive tackle, the other edge spot, because if you don't have another guy that can make plays on an island, they're just going to shift the line over to Givens, and they're just going to try to beat them up. They're going to run at them. They're going to double, chip, whatever it may be. Tight end, running back. I also think Chris Mosley at running back, man, for Central could be a budding star. Averaged 11 yards per carry last year in limited
Nice.
action. Man, the kid's just a freak. But also too, Trey Holly's debut, guys. I mean, this is a kid that came from LSU, SEC Player of the Week against Army, where he had a huge touchdown. And this kid ran for like 11,000 yards in high school, guys. And the next leading rusher in Louisiana State high school history was at 8,000. So that just puts in perspective how good he really was. And he's starting on Saturday night, man. There's just so much to talk about with this game. But I like Central right now. Trey Oliver's on a mission. And I really do think they've been one game away for 2 straight years now to winning the MEAC. This is the year that they have to get it done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd go North Carolina Central as well, maybe by a field goal, maybe by 6 points or something like that. By the way, Brandon also thinks North Carolina Central, so I think, Coach, you're out there on an island. All right, yeah. Up next, we are going to talk about the game that is UC Davis and, UC Davis and Mercer is on deck, as I can get my graphic here. There we go. This is another fantastic. This is the Crampton Bowl, Montgomery, Alabama. UC Davis traveling all the way across the country to face the Southern Conference and Mercer Bears. Both programs have steadily been playoff contenders in recent years. Great non-conference battle. UC Davis, you see a 4.5 favorite. Again, this is going to be a very, very good matchup. You've got Tim Plow in his second year at UC Davis, ranked number 7th in the country in these preseason polls. He's back leading his alma mater. He's going to be replacing Miles Hastings, the quarterback, and they've also got a returning offensive line, which will help him. Malachi Henry, wide receiver, plus new additions. Looks like the offense may be as dangerous as it was last year. Then you turn your focus to the Mercer Bears, number 13 in the country, 9-4 last year, 6-2 in the Southern Conference, made it to the the quarterfinals. They cemented itself as a rising playoff returner. DJ Smith injured. He's returning for the QB1 position, and some pieces, question marks about Mercer as far as offense, in my opinion. I think they are. Listen, Mercer has done a great job in putting pieces together for a Southern Conference title run, but you're playing UC Davis. Big sky coming, big bodies coming. Zach, I'll let you start here. Aggies, Bears. I'm fired up about this one.
Yeah, this game is going to it has so many implications, right? And I hate to say this, like, obviously every team this weekend has the full season ahead of it. So no one's season's over if they lose this weekend. But man, Mercer has so much pressure this weekend because I don't even know if all the pressure is just on them. I think they're carrying the conference banner too. You look at the SoCon only getting one bid in last year's playoff. They've been very vocal. Shout out to Commissioner Cross, man. Enjoyed talking to him at Media Day, but he's been very vocal that the SoCon should never be a one big league. Mercer has to prove that this weekend, man. They got to be at least a competitive. And I think UC Davis, with the schedule they have, guys, if they lose this one, You look ahead with some of the games on their schedule, it's like, man, they're going to be on the bubble too. What happens if they lose to Mercer and Mercer's on the bubble? If we can see a reverse of what happened last year with Northern Arizona, Western Carolina, where the SoCon team gets in over the Big Sky schools. So much there. I mean, Caden Pinnick is the storyline here, man. What can he do? A redshirt freshman starting at quarterback. We know the history of Tim Plow and developing quarterbacks, and Pinnick brings a different dimension that I don't think Plow's had in his offense where the
Mm.
kid can run. How creative can he be as a play caller now that he has a guy with legs? And then you look at all the other returning talent. You have like 4 offensive linemen coming back. You add 2 all Ivy League players on the defensive line. And in the secondary, let's see, guys, another nugget for y'all. Ty Richardson from Tufts was a Division III All-American last year, had 6 interceptions. The kid is going to be really, really good. I'm really excited. And you pair him with Rex Connors at safety, who we all 3 know is one of the best safeties, if not the best safety in FCS football. Now with Mercer, DJ Smith's a question mark.
Mhm.
Was electric the first 4 games of last year, but after he got hurt, guys, he was not the same player. And at SoCon Media Day, talking to him, I don't think he was 100%, and I don't know if he trusted his health, and so he was a little hesitant to run. Talking to Coach Jacobs, man, they're going to let DJ Smith be a playmaker, and I'm very excited to see what he can do with his legs when he's playing a free. Big challenge, though, for the Mercer offensive line. But, man, Andrew Zock, what can I say about that kid? I think he's potentially the best defensive lineman in the FCS. I know that's a lot with Kelby Givens and A.J. Pena in them, but Zock as a freshman, man, was so impactful. I still lean UC Davis in this one, guys, but a contrary to the Big Sky fans, I do think this is going to be competitive because I am a believer in Mercer and what head coach Mike Jacobs is building there.
Yeah, Zock, 14 and a half tackles for loss, 7 sacks. You also have Donovan Watkins, 8 pass breakups last year. They've got some good pieces on defense. The question mark for Mercer is that quarterback. The question mark for UC Davis is their quarterback. Coach Jackson, this is a powerhouse matchup, week 0 here in the FCS.
Yeah, this is my top game to watch, and I don't want the good fans down in Macon to send me no bad letters or emails or anything like that. I like Mercer's skill position. That's not a question for me. I think Mercer's got some of the best skill position people, and have had some of the best skill position people for a little while. Where it bothers me is in the trenches for them. They're not what I would consider elite along the offensive line or the defensive line. I think UC Davis is coming all the way out to Alabama to play them, so it's a long trip for them. So I'm kind of like Zach. I think it's a toss-up game, but I do believe, for me, the difference is Coach Tim Plow. I think he's probably one of the top 3 or 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 coaches in the country, and to me, he's worth 3 points. So I would have to go with UC Davis just along that. Now, I don't believe that the loser of either of this game, their season is over. However, for Mercer, things kind of spiral for them. So, it'll be a tough matchup. I'm going to go with UC Davis. I think they win by 3.
Well, in the logo battle, Mercer, pick up your game. This is a terrible logo. Look at that UC Davis logo, how cool it is. And that bear, I don't even know, is it a bear? They had a secondary logo last year where it had just a very cool looking bear snarling with a little cap on. It looked very, very retro. This main logo there, I can't get behind that. They've had that logo for a long time. Bears need to rebrand or something. But on the football field, they're a quality, talented football team. They've got pieces. They draw talent. They're into Macon. They put money into their program. But I think UC Davis is coming. I agree, Coach. Tim Plow is a game changer as far as the coaching staff, and I really do believe that he is going to make a huge difference in that young talent there. And that quarterback, as Zach mentioned, you got a quarterback coach. He's been there. He's done that. He can get that kid up to standards. And honestly, I think UC Davis, I'm going to give them probably the win by a touchdown over Mercer, but it's going to be a heck of a game to watch. I'm fired up about this week 0 matchup. And Zach, such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for talking FCS week 0 for us. Let's give you a quick platform. Talk about all the stuff that you've got going on here and where people can find you. And if you need about 35 minutes, talk about all the podcast that you're doing now, but give us, what is your platform? Where can everybody follow you and make sure they're not missing any of the McKinnell tidbits?
Yeah, man. Excuse me. For writing, man, you can check us out FCS Football Central on SI. Myself, Timothy Rosario, Gerald Huggins is our NFL draft guy. He's already released his top 10 HBCU prospects. FCS coming later, either this week or next week, man. But it's si.com/college/FCS. The Blue Bloods on YouTube and podcast driven platforms. Coach Fred, the assistant head coach down at Alcorn, rocks with me on YouTube. Timothy's my co-host on all other podcast driven platforms, and then co-hosting with Sam Herder on the FCS Football Talk podcast, co-hosting with Craig Haley on the FCS Edge podcast for Stats Perform, and then also get a guest contributor for HBCU Nightly, man, on Sunday nights, man. Love sitting Josh Sims, BJ Jones, Markham Banks, all those guys, man. Those are my guys, and love doing that. But yeah, that's where you can find me for right now, man. I'll let you know if I add another few podcasts.
I'm almost guaranteeing. Well, you're such a great mind, such a great college football mind, such a great talent for the FCS fans, and man, it has been an absolute joy to have you on the podcast. I really do appreciate it, and we will be connecting soon throughout the season.
Absolutely, man. Listen, anytime, man. We can add it to my weekly list, man. If y'all want, it don't matter, man. I had a blast.
You can put pressure on me, you know. Hey, great job, Zach. Thank you so much. We will see you later. Thank you again for your time. And that is Zach McKinnell talking week 0, Coach. Coach, we were excited to have Zach. Zach, have a great weekend. Enjoy these football games.
Thank you, man.
All right, that is Zach McKinnell, Coach Jackson. What a good dude. I love that. You know what? And you get to watch his success because he started this Blue Bloods, podcast, really heavy on the HBCUs, and now it's turned into big FCS, and it can be his full-time job, and that is awesome. That is so inspiring for that young man.
Tell you how talented he is, Nathan. When I first run across Zach, he was covering the UAC media day down in Arlington and did such a fantastic job. I was an instant fan. I knew he was going to be a superstar, and literally within 5 years, he's where he's at now. So kudos to him. He's a fantastic FCS and college football mind.
He is. And one of the minds that we love, and he can't be here, is Brandon Joseph. Obviously, we talked about him. He's got some high school football, rather, to prepare for, but he has sent in his picks. So, Coach, we got our week 0 picks coming up. I know we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but let's go ahead and go through it one more time. UIW Nicholls. Let me make my little graph here. Brandon, Coach Ron, and Nathan. BRN. All right, Coach Jackson, go ahead and give me your predictions. UIW Nicholls.
Brandon sent me a text message, and I think he took Nicholls in that game. He wanted to revise whatever he sent in, and but for me, I'm gonna take Incarnate Word. I just think they've got too big of a roster for Nicholls right now.
Yeah, definitely. UIW, I don't think is going to have too much trouble. I do believe that these week 0 games are tricky. It may be 0-0 after the first quarter. It ain't going to be 0-0 after the fourth quarter. They're going to really put it on Nicholls across the board. Brandon's got UIW, despite your attempt to mud him there, and that he's going to select Nicholls. Brandon did select UIW. I've selected UIW, and Coach Jackson with UIW. Idaho State and UNLV. I'm just going to go ahead and write Idaho State across the board for all of us. Nah, UNLV across the board for you, Coach. You got any words on that one?
Nah, it's it's going to be a tough game. I do hope I hope they put up a good fight. But it's going to be a tough sled.
Yeah. All right. Big time. Tarleton, Portland State. I'll tell you right now, Tarleton State is going to win this game, and it ain't going to be close. Tarleton State is solid, experienced, and motivated. Portland State still trying to find answers there. Lots of holes in their roster. Got some talented players, but I'm thinking this is going to be a probably 14-plus point victory for Tarleton State, Coach. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. Tarleton's got a couple of defensive linemen that literally block out the sun. So it's going to be tough sledding, trying to run the ball. It's going to be tough sledding trying to get anything going against them. I think they're one of the top teams in the country. So yeah, let me have the Texans.
All right, so we will go North Carolina Central and Southern. Coach, you mentioned Southern. You going to stick with them?
I'm sticking with them and them uniforms.
Oh, they're the best. Oh my God, those uniforms are great. However, North Carolina Central's going to win this football game, in my opinion. It's going to be close. I'm going to say 27-24. Coach, what you got for a score?
Oh, I think it's going to be more points than that.
Yeah?
I think it's going to be probably 34-37, somewhere in there. Southern's going to put up some points. Central's going to put up some points too. But let me have 37-34.
All right. That's a big score, week 0. And then we have UC Davis and Mercer. And that's I'm going to go with UC Davis. I think they're going to have too much. I think it's going to be a very, very good football game. Give me 3 6-point spread there. And UC Davis coming across the country and getting the win in the Crampton Bowl. Coach?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Nathan. I think UC Davis has got one of the better teams in the country. I think they're just a little more of a complete team than Mercer is, or at least complete from what I know. Mercer's got talent, but like you said on that logo, if you look fairly close, that bear that they've got has 8 teeth. And that's about how many games that they're going to win this year. And this first week's not going to be one of them.
The analysis, brilliant, Coach, brilliant. Hey, let me ask you this: on a sliding scale, how shocked would you be if Mercer picked up a win?
I wouldn't be super shocked if they pick up a win. That means that they've gotten the job done along the offensive and defensive lines, and that's my biggest question about their particular season. So if they did, that would tell me that along the defensive line specifically and the offensive line that they've gotten much better.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I mean, I'm thinking I'd be shocked to very shocked if Mercer picks up this win. By the way, Brandon did pick North Carolina Central. He also picks UC Davis to win as well. So, Coach, I think everyone's in agreement except your Southern. So circle that one, and you can carry the crown if the Jags can pull it out.
If Southern wins, whenever I get back in front of this camera, I'm gonna have on the brightest blue and yellow. I'm gonna see if I can make them colors look good myself. So, I'm gonna stick with them. It's in Atlanta. Okay. They're gonna bring a crowd. They're gonna bring their band, and I actually hope they come out in the reverse, more yellow uniforms with the blue outline. To me, that would be fantastic. Oh yeah. I hope they come to put on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not at Mercedes-Benz Dome, by the way. That's that I can't remember the name of the little park, the stadium they've got there, but it's a cool venue for that MEAC SWAC kickoff. All right, that's it, Coach. Week 0.
The tailgate is going to be off the hook.
You started with the barbecue earlier. Now we're rolling into lunchtime here. But yeah, absolutely. And if you're in the Metro Atlanta area, it's a great opportunity to get down there and check that MEAC. So that's a great football game. It's a great week for football, Coach. Always. We got some great games on tap. Make sure you check out those games on ESPN and the ABC network as well. And listen, I am blown away by the amount of support that we've gotten already for this video podcast that we're doing here for the FCS Checkdown. But we need you to like and subscribe. That's going to help us grow the program. And I've told these guys, if we get 500 subscribers, we can monetize. And then if we monetize, then we're able to bring in some funds to give back to our viewers. Shirts, hats, whatever we can do to keep the FCS the fans happy and engaged, because that's what we really want to do. And so please like and subscribe to the FCS Checkdown. We're also on the Spotify platform, which has just as many listens as YouTube. So on Spotify, a 5-star review if you love it, if a 1-star review if you think it sucks, and make sure you tell everybody that why you think it's terrible, and we can make the adjustments. And listen, we just want to make good content for these FCS fans because there's not enough good content out there. We've had Sam Herder on this week. We've had Zach McKinnell on this week because they are the leaders in FCS, and we want to bring those. We're going to bring coaches and players on as the season continues or gets underway and continues. We should be back Sunday night with our recap of week 0, and then it's football season, and you got us all the way through the national championship in Nashville, Coach. What you got going on this weekend?
Before I go there, Nathan, I'm gonna make I'm gonna give back a little bit myself. Whenever we get to whoever's our 500th subscriber, I'm gonna get them a Coach Ron koozie to hold their beverage of choice. But anyway, what have I got going on this week?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Great.
It's been I got to get ready to start traveling because we'll start traveling to all the away games coming up next weekend, and so this weekend, dude, I'm not doing anything. I still coach a little I still coach a little middle school football. I was in Clarksville last night. Our little middle school team is off.
Did you take the last train?
Dude, I took the first flipping bus. I never ride the bus, especially with a bunch of kids. But we went to Clarksville, played pretty good last night. So tonight I'm going to run out to our jamboree. We're playing Trousdale County. I hope we hang 50 on their sorry tails. And Saturday, dude, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go watch some kids play flag football and I guess sign some autographs, kiss some babies, and then I'm bringing it back to the house.
Great. Well, I can tell you this. My oldest daughter turned 20 years old yesterday, so we celebrated her. She's in college, so she's working and whatever. And then I'm celebrating my youngest daughter. Her birthday is Sunday. She'll be 18, and she's starting her freshman year at North Georgia. So we're going to go on a hike this weekend, maybe do some fishing, and you never know. So we're fired up about that.
What are you fishing for, if you don't mind me asking?
You know what? I am a terrible fisherman. I'm terrible, but I love going. We'll catch brim and catfish all day long. I want to catch a big bass. You know what I'm saying? We got the stuff.
You ain't gonna catch a bass with that cane pole. You don't have to set that up.
Hey, Coach, it's No, I got some good stuff. Trust me. I put so much money into lures and fishing rods, and I still can't catch a dang fish. Well, look, it's week 0. We do want to thank Zach McKinnell for his time. And, Coach, always a pleasure. The mic sounds great. And we miss Brandon. Brandon, have a great weekend. You can check Brandon out, 680 The Fan, here locally in Atlanta, calling some high school football. For Coach Ron Jackson, I'm Nathan McCurry. We say it's football time here on the FCS Checkdown. Thank you, Zach McKinnell. We'll see you Sunday night for our recap. Let's go. All right.
All right.
Not too shabby.
I didn't think so, man. That's not bad. That's
yeah. The mic sounds good. No echo. What do you think about that right there?
Good. Well, it's easy to use. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad I finally figured out how the hell to work the thing.
Coach, I need your address because I'm going to send you one of these.
I can't see you.
You can't see? I haven't published it. Hang on.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. I'm going to send you one.
That way I can quit displaying my grandmother's dishes.
I'll tell you what would help, and if you set your laptop up a little bit so it's more exactly that way, because if you're looking down, I can edit you. Let me see if I can do it here, if it'll let me. I can I should be not green screen. There we go. So I can change your camera. See how that works?
Gotcha.
So, but when you're angled so differently, it looks, it's a little tricky. So
I've
doesn't
got
have
a
to,
higher desk.
yeah, it doesn't have to be eye level. If you can set a couple books underneath the computer just to lift it a little bit, and we can and out there, because seeing the ceiling, it's and you can see my ceiling now. I'm looking at it, but yeah, it's just a little bit easier to move those things. But I'm gonna send you and Brandon both one of those.
Good. How much was it? I don't mind to.
Nah, you know what? It was like $22. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
shoot, what's your? I think I have your address, but give it to me again just so I can.
Let's see. You want me to text it to you? Or just give it to you.
Yeah. No, text it to me. That'd be perfect. Yeah. Just text it to me.
Yeah, I'll do that. Let's see here. NATHAN